What's up everyone, how are you all? Today we are back with another blazing Naruto story. What if Naruto Tomoe Rinnegan? If you enjoy then please like, share and do comments. It had been exactly 208 years since the 4th Great Shinobi War had ended. Naruto with help from Sasuke had managed to seal Kagaya. When all had seemed good and dandy, Sasuke had dropped a verbal bomb on them. He had announced his intention to kill all the 5 Kages and bring about his own revolution in the world and bring about his own twisted idea of peace. To do this he sealed all the freed-tailed beasts within Chibaku Tensei, intending to use their power to end infinite Tsukuyomi after he killed Naruto. He demanded Naruto fight him to death, a demand which Naruto complied to happily. They fought for one whole day and night, after which Naruto managed to defeat Sasuke and managed to beat some sense into him. But the battle with Kagaya Otsutsuki had taken much out of Sasuke, and on his deathbed he asked Naruto to use his eye to end the infinite Tsukuyomi that had been cast. Nearing his death, Sasuke had managed to redeem himself, if only just by an inch. He apologized to Naruto for killing them, but Naruto didn't accept it. How could he? He had his loved ones and expected him to forgive him just because he said a few words. Naruto had implanted the Rinnegan with the help of Kakashi after his fight with Sasuke. Sakura was in pieces after hearing about his death. The Rinnegan of Sasuke was different from the one Naruto had achieved during his teen years. This Rinnegan had 6 tomo split between its first 2 ripples. From what Naruto had gathered from his fight with Sasuke, the tomo would disappear if Sasuke overused his Rinnegan, preventing him from using its full power until it had fully recharged, something that took a very long time. Sasuke was still able to use the powers of his Mangekyo Sharingan with his Rinnegan, but apparently couldn't use them or even form the Mangekyo in his other eye when it was recharging. After a century of living like a hermit, Naruto had forgiven him, if only just to end the cycle of reincarnation of Asura and Indra. A few years down the road, he had managed to deactivate Sasuke's Rinnegan with the help of Fuinjutsu. Naruto now had to live with 2 different colored eyes. One vibrant blue and the other coal black. After the war had ended, Naruto had become Hokage after Kakashi. His reign was the longest, spanning over 64 years. During his lifetime all of his friends had passed away. After their death, he took no wife, held no lands nor fathered any children. Many of his friends had died of old age and lived happy lives. Towards the end of his term, or rather the reason for the end of his term, was an incident that had shook Naruto's faith in the shinobi world. After Killer Bee had died, Kumo sealed Gyuki again within Kohaku no Johei, which went against what they had promised after the end of war. All the nations had vowed to not seal any Biju within humans unless the Biju were willing. Gyuki had chosen to remain with Bee until his death, but after that he was to be freed. To spare Gyuki the wrongful imprisonment, Naruto had resigned as Hokage and went to Kumo to talk Kumo out of it. It turned out that there was a rebel faction within Kumo that didn't agree with Naruto's ideals and had taken over the village, though that didn't surprise Naruto, seeing as Kumo was one of the most militaristic of all the 5 great nations. After having a battle with the rebels and emerging victorious, Naruto sealed Gyuki within himself, which was Hachibi's idea. Fearing that the other big and small nations alike would fall to the temptation of power within reach, Naruto, with the permission of the tailed beasts, sealed them within himself temporarily until a permanent solution could be reached. The Jinchuriki of all the tailed beasts living in Konoha raised many protests from other nations, so Naruto chose the life of a wandering hermit, never staying in one place for more than required time. He had, in the vaguest sense of the word, had become immortal, though he was physically only 18 years old. He had gained mastery in Fuinjutsu that was only subpar to his father and his Uzumaki ancestors. He had figured out how to create Hiraishin kunais, but was unable to figure out how to leave seals directly onto people or objects permanently. It was with this Fuinjutsu skills that he had managed to create a dimension seal that allowed him to travel through dimensions, not unlike Kagaya Otsutsuki. He had found one dimension in which there were no humans, only animals and nature. It was a perfect place to let the Bijus roam free. He let all the Bijus out of his body, even Kurama, who reluctantly left him. They all left him a parting gift, and that was their chakra. After making him promise that he would come to them if he needed any help, they all bid him their farewells. He had found that he could travel through dimensions using his Hiraishin jutsu. That made him theorize that the dimensions he traveled weren't in different planes of existence but were separated by space. He had grown weary of this world. He wasn't welcome in most parts of the elemental nations as they didn't want to risk the ire of other nations by hosting him. So he had decided that he would travel to another dimension and spread his message of peace. He had so many dimensions to choose from. One dimension he had went to had normal humans with no chakra networks, but they were really advanced. They had tall buildings and some cool four-wheeled automatic vehicles. During one of his travel, he had seen a weird creature with disproportionate body and having a white mask where his face found that interesting, but the creature disappeared when Naruto wasn't paying attention, and he wasn't just going to track it down to satisfy his had also seen people in black hakama-like dressing walking around all the while being ignored by people. They had some strange energy within them, not unlike chakra but not exactly chakra. He didn't choose this world because the world already seemed at peace. The next one was a weird world. Their people loved with anthropomorphic animals and some lizard-like giant creatures. But this works already had a savoir from what he had heard. His name was Hercules Satan and he had saved the world at least twice, so Naruto thought that this world didn't need him. He decided that he would go to the world he had accidentally visited at first when he had first developed this technique 20 years ago. Flashback. Naruto had just finished drawing his latest seal. The seal had been inspired by Kaguya's Yomotsu Hirasaka technique that allowed her to open rifts in space. He had been working on this seal since he resigned as the Hokage. He was hoping that he would be able to open one rift that would lead to another dimension where he could let Bijus roam free without fear of capture. The seal was pretty big and was not handy. He was hoping to make it compact in future so that he could carry it with himself. Naruto activated the seal and found himself looking at a beach from above. There was a ship anchored on the beach with a pirate's flag being flown on the crow's nest. A little girl was running away from some men chasing her. She tripped on a stone and fell, and soon the men surrounded her. He could only hear some snippets of what they were saying. "Look wa, oh you. D.T. Is you devil kai," said one of the men. "Yes yo, better, we'll ma, pay," declared the other man. "I'm sorry I didn't do anything, believe me, please don't hurt me." Naruto had the last part crystal clear. This kid was in danger and he would be damned if he let an innocent soul be hurt on his watch. Fueled by emotion, Naruto entered the fray with only one thing on his mind: protect her. In his Kurama chakra mode, Naruto instantly knocked out the men without being seen. The girl was scared by this flash. What was that? A golden flash and all the men were down on the ground, and then she saw him. It was as if his whole body was clad in yellow flames and they were flickering of his body. She was in a daze. This man had single-handedly defeated the entire crew of Cheskipa pirates and hadn't broken a sweat, not that she could see, with all him glowing golden. He asked her if she was okay and she nodded. He asked for her name and she again nodded. She was in a daze. This man had an aura, if she could call him, that was so warm and full of life. She felt that she could live in this glow for her whole life comfortably. "Hey, I asked what your name was," he asked her again, waving his hands in front of her. "Robin, Nico Robin," she squeaked, still not sure whether to trust this man. The last time she had trusted a man, Cheskipa, and now he was out for her blood. "I can't stay here any longer, I see the rift closing." "Keep this," he said, handing her a three-pronged stabbing knife of some sort. "My name's Uzumaki Naruto. I don't know if it will work, but keep this anyways. Who knows, I might be able to come here again. Now stay safe, kid, and don't get in any trouble," he told her as he ruffled her hair. And just like that, Naruto went back to his world before the rift closed. Flashback end. He had, after a month, managed to figure out how to use Hiraishin to travel to different dimensions, or rather different dimensions in same space. He remembered the second and the last time he had seen her, and then his visits had ended abruptly. He just couldn't sense the kunai anymore. Flashback. He had been still researching on ways to travel through dimensions freely. He could have settled in any one of those dimensions, but he always came back to elemental nations. Because that was his home. God save him if he didn't visit Shima Ba-chan every once in a while there, plus he had to ensure that peace remained. He decided that he would pay the girl he saved a visit, but first he needed to prepare. He needed at least an hour to locate the Hiraishin kunai he had given her. It was a problem and he hadn't gotten around to fixing it yet. After locating her, he teleported to her location. He saw her laughing in the rain and sitting on a rock. There was a dog with her and she was laughing in a weird way. Darashishishi. Darashishishi. She was laughing wholeheartedly. This was the first time he had seen her happy. That's music to my ears, Robin-chan. Looking up, she got embarrassed. She at first didn't recognize him, then realization dawned on her. Same wavy blonde hair and same voice. Yo, you came, she exclaimed loudly. Of course I came. I told you I would figure out how to come here. The dog looked at him in puzzlement, cocking his head to the right. Is that a new friend you got there? He asked her while looking playfully at the dog. Yes, I think. He came here to me asking for food, but I don't have any. She said sadly. Just as she finished saying that, her stomach grumbled loudly. Well, we can't have that now, can we? Wait a second, he said as his hands lit up with blue and red flames. After bringing his hands together, there a basket of onigiri and sushi in his hands. He had used his Banbutsu Sozo no Jutsu, an ability granted to him by the Rinnegan. He could create anything by mixing his yin and yang chakra, though he was right now only limited to small things like food or weapons. He couldn't create living things, yet. He had discovered this ability recently. Whoa, how did you do that? Can you teach it to me? Well, a sage never reveals his secret, and no, I can't teach it to you as it's a technique only exclusive to me, sorry. She looked downtrodden at hearing this but soon perked up at the prospect of having something to eat. She took the basket from his hand and gave some rice balls to the dog. She started munching down on the food and later realized that there was no salt in the onigiri. Nay. Why is there no salt in this? She asked him with a look that made Naruto uncomfortable. Oh crap, sorry, I just learned this technique so you'll have to forgive me for this. Naruto said, rubbing the back of his head sheepishly. So Naruto-san, you said you were a sage, but then why don't you look old and wise? She asked teasingly. Well, I'm older than you thinking. Hey, did you just call me stupid looking? Naruto asked with mock rage. She laughed again at this. He really liked listening to her laugh. You've got a cute laugh, he said, complimenting her. She blushed at hearing this and he found that even cuter. Seeing that they were getting wet in the rain, Naruto took her aside near the beach and going through some hand seals he created a large wooden house. But the house was crooked and seemed unfinished. The jutsu was called Mokuton. Shichuka no Jutsu. It created a house using his wood release. Naruto had gained the ability to use Mokuton after he got the Rinnegan. Having Hashirama's chakra in his system was a bonus that allowed him to master the technique to some extent and not be utterly exhausted after using it. He had learned this technique from his Mokuton sensei Yamato. The girl was really shocked to say, was her savior even a human? Or had he eaten some weird devil fruit? Many questions went through her mind. Now you can sleep here without having to worry about getting the cold. He told her, thank you Naruto-san, I can't believe you did this just for me. Hey, don't worry about it. Now sleep, I have to go back. Keep the kunai with you so I can come here. You see, the kunai acts as a beacon to my technique which allows me to travel to your location. So don't lose it, okay, because it'll keep you safe. She just nodded happily. Then ruffling her hair once again, Naruto disappeared in a yellow flash. Flashback end. That world seemed to have problems from what he had seen, plus he could use some fun. All the sitting around had made him quite rusty. He had figured a way to differentiate the dimensions using his sensory technique. All the dimensional rifts vibrated at different energy frequency. By identifying the frequency he could identify which was which dimension. He decided to open a rift to the dimension where he had met the girl, he just couldn't remember her name now. He decided that he would search for her and see if she was safe and also try to spread his message of peace while he was at it. After all, being the child of prophecy meant he had to bring peace to the world he adopted, and that was exactly what he was going to do. Entering the rift, only one thought crossed Naruto's mind. A new world, a new beginning. He exited the rift and he thought something that sounded deep but was just an acute observation. It had been 20 years since he had last visited this world, but things were different then. He had Kurama and the others inside him, but now he was alone. He was also less powerful now that he thought about it. After his fight with Sasuke, he had found himself unable to access the Rikudo Senjutsu. It was like he just couldn't summon the power. This led to him to theorize that when he had all the 9 Biju's chakra in his body, he became a pseudo-Jubi Jinchuriki and thus was granted half the powers of the sage. But after the battle with Sasuke, Naruto had been almost on death's doorsteps. He had exhausted most of his and the other tailed beast's chakra within himself. And that's why he had lost the ability. But now he had the chakra of all 9 bijus again. Maybe he could enter it again, but decided to test it for later. If he could access it, he would have to access in times when the situation was dire and he needed the power the most, and with no Kurama to recharge him when he was down, he would now have to be careful how he flaunted around the power. He also didn't want to go to Kurama and ask him to get back in him, as he deserved to be free, but decided to cross that bridge when he arrived there. Now that his train of thought had ended, he realized the situation he was in because he was standing on sea with no land in sight. He had no idea where he could start searching for the girl. Sitting down on the surface of the sea, he started gathering natural energy, and within a few moments the area just around his eyes gained orange pigmentation. He opened his eyes and they had gained a golden color with horizontal bar-like pupils. This was his Sennin mode. Mixing Senjutsu chakra with his chakra, he gained this ability. When he had first started using Sennin mode, he needed to gather natural energy for longer periods of time, which made it impractical in combat situations. He had come up with a workaround using his shadow clones, but that still didn't make it any easier. When he was a freshly minted sage, he needed to pull in the nature energy around him against its flow. But now, after years of practice and living with oneness in nature, the energy had started flooding into him as if floodgates had been opened. Now it was just a matter of opening the gates just enough so that he could take the prerequisite Senjutsu chakra within him, and then he closed the gates. It took only mere moments for this to happen. But in a battle, the more he used his own chakra, the harder it would get to balance the Senjutsu chakra and would need more concentration. Well, he could still use his Kurama chakra mode since Kurama had left him butt-loads of chakra as a parting gift. It wasn't like the other bijus had been stingy, but compared to them Kurama just had tons of more chakra, so he naturally got more from him. Sensing some mild chakra signatures on the level with civilians to the northwest of his position some miles away, he started running towards them from his position. In a few minutes he had covered about 50 miles and had reached his destination. There he saw a horrifying sight. A teenage girl was being chased by pirates. I get a sense of déjà vu here. An orange-haired teen was running for her life with a map clutched to her chest. She was being followed by 3 very burly, angry-looking men. I finally did it, finally got the map to Grand Line. The girl seemingly said to herself between breaths. You bitch, give it back. One of them said. How dare you steal the map of Grand Line from us? Second one bellowed. Damn it, I don't want to be blasted by boss's cannon. The third one screamed. Just as they were closing on her, suddenly a man appeared before them. The man had sunny blonde hair and was wearing an orange overcloak underneath, which was a black t-shirt and blue shinobi pants. The girl was looking back at the man who was facing her pursuers, and the men were gawking at the speed at which the man appeared. Grown men chasing little girls, kind of sends a wrong message, doesn't it? He quipped at the expense of the 3 men. Hey, I'm no little girl. The orange-haired girl told him, and then she continued, thank you boss, they almost caught me. She said, trying to involve him in this game of cat and mouse. And then she ran away saying, I'll leave the rest to you. Huh? What was that about? Anyways, stop chasing teen girls through a deserted town. It kind of sends a wrong impression. You're her boss, huh? We'll make you pay for your underling's crime. Now, I'm sure we can solve this peacefully. No need for any of you to get hurt. You're just a weakling, huh, trying to talk us out of this. Let's get him, boys. One of them shouted as they charged at him. Naruto jumped over the first charging man and, using his head as a base, front flipped with his right hand, which sent the charging man meet the ground with his face. The man got up, his face bleeding courtesy of the rough surface of the ground. The 3 men had things that differentiated them from each other. One had a bandana, the other had stitches across his forehead, and the third had black hair? Yeah, he just had black hair. The bandana guy attacked him with a forward slash of his sword, which Naruto sidestepped and sent a punch across his face which knocked him out. Guess he didn't know how to his own strength after years of no combat. The girl who was watching this from a roof of a nearby house thought to herself, wow, this guy is really strong, huh? The 2 men now became cautious, but Naruto now was getting impatient. I really wanted to settle this without any conflict, but now I'm getting bored of this pointless fight, so I'll end this right now. With that said, just as Naruto was about to knock them out, there was a scream, and then something landed on the 2 aggressors, knocking them out cold. I'm saved. A voice came from the dust cloud that was created when the thing landed on them. "I'm hungry," the voice moaned. A boy came out of the dust cloud patting his clothes all over. He looked to be about the same as the orange-haired girl. "Ah, you know where I can get some food around here?" the boy asked. He was wearing short blue trouser and a sleeveless red vest. He had straw hat on his head which suited him quite nicely. "You must forgive me for I am new here, I can't help you out with that matter," Naruto politely told him. "Never mind, I'm Monkey D. Luffy, I am going to be the king of pirates." Naruto quickly became wary of this boy. From what he could gather of his previous visits to this world, pirates were bad guys. But this boy didn't have any malice in him that he had started correlating with pirates. "Why do you want to be a pirate king? What do you think being a pirate is?" Naruto asked, hoping to mine some information regarding his intentions. "It's simple really, the one who has the most freedom on the seas is the pirate king, and being a pirate is all about following your dreams no matter what." Naruto was surprised by this answer, so simple yet deep. The orange-haired girl who had ran away then returned. "Wow, you are really strong, thanks for helping me out there." "What helping you out there? You just sicked them on me and ran away," Naruto said, a little pissed off. Sticking her tongue out and punching her head in a playful manner, she said, "Teehee." "Don't you, teehee, me," Naruto retorted. "Anyways, I'm Nami. Man, you are really strong, want to be my partner? And who's your friend?" "No, I'm not interested in being a partner to a thief. Yes, I know you stole that map. You shouldn't pick fights with people you can't face. And this is Luffy," he said, reprimanding her with sagely wisdom and while introducing Luffy to her. "Hi, I'm Luffy. Do you have anything to eat? Now you two youngins mingle while I go look for something else interesting." And he left. What does he mean, youngins? He's basically the same age as us. "Aw, I'm hungry," Luffy moaned again. "Come on, I'll treat ya." It's the least she could do for the man who had indirectly knocked out her pursuers. A little while later with Naruto. He had been walking around the town and had found it deserted. Only one he could find was a dog in front of a pet food store. The dog just gave him a curious glance and went back to staring ahead. Thinking of nothing else to do, he went and sat by the dog's side and started stroking his head. The dog had white fur with a long face. Animals' emotions were tricky for him to sense. They were mostly hungry or afraid of him. But this dog was sad and angry. "Why such a long face?" he snickered at his own joke. I know how you feel. I have no idea how to start my quest or where to look for her. It's been such a long time too, I wonder if she remembers me?" He sighed. The dog just gave him a weird look and then started barking as if trying to say something. Hearing the dog barking, a man came out from a nearby street and started walking toward them. "Hey, stop pestering Shushu. Get away from him." "I'm not pestering him, just talking, and it seems like he is talking with me too. Anyways, who are you, old man?" The man had white hair in a weird hairstyle and glasses. He was wearing a makeshift armor. "I'm the mayor of this town," he proclaimed proudly. "A mayor by yourself, huh? I guess you were the only candidate and the only voter, am I right or what?" he said, proud of his joke. What? No. I was elected by a majority by this town's people. But ever since that dastardly pirate came and ran us out of this town, I'm the only one here now. We are weak, but I refuse to hand over this town to some pirates. I am going to fight for my home. That's the spirit, Oji-san. But before you go, tell me the whole story of this town and why the pirates came," Naruto asked, interested to know the story behind the forsaking the of town. "I suppose I can tell you that much. A few years ago, a man named Sahil came to this town from an island called Alabasta in Grand Line. He settled down in this town and was a peaceful man. We called him Vicky. Vicky had drawn some maps of some places in Grand Line and how to enter that place. The maps were one of its kind and was the pride of this town. There was supposedly also a treasure map hidden among them." He sighed. "It was all our fault really, we shouldn't have paraded it around, but word of this maps reached Buggy, the clown pirate, and he came here looking for them. After a discussion amongst us, we decided to hand him the maps as the lives of townspeople were more important, but Buggy took this as a sign of weakness and threw us out of our own town. Hawker, my friend and Shushu's owner, was one of the first to protest this, and he was beaten by the pirates to be made an example. He died some days later. The reason Shushu stands here is because the shop behind him was Hawker's. He stands guard here day and night to protect his legacy. Nowadays the pirates just plunder our food stores and keep blowing up the houses with his cannon. It's deplorable really that we were driven out of here. The mayor finished. I see, Naruto said solemnly. So that's why the town was deserted, why only the Shushu and the mayor were here. I think what you are doing is noble, Mayor-san. More people should be like you, to fight for what matters. He said, and after a pause he continued. I know, I'll help you in cleaning out the pirates out of this town. First gather the townspeople and announce your intentions to them. I'm sure many will follow you because after all this is their home, their safe place. Till then I'll scope out the place and wait for you here. The mayor was happy. This young man wanted to help him and had gave him something to think about. He was no fool, he knew if he went alone he would be beaten just like Hawker, but with others with him, then maybe they could have a chance. Bidding him bye, he went towards the outskirts of town to gather forces. Now that he is out of the way, time to teach these pirates a lesson. Patting Shushu's head for one last time he went towards the area where he could feel a large number of chakra signatures. 3 were heading this way, 2 of them he recognized, Luffy and Nami. He met them halfway there. The new addition was a green-haired man, he looked about a year older than Naruto. He had 3 swords strapped to his body and a wound on his stomach. He was carrying Luffy, who was tied and left inside a cage. What happened to you guys? And Luffy, why are you in a cage? Captain, who is this guy? The green-haired man asked Luffy, wary of Naruto. Zoro, this is. Who are you anyways? Luffy asked. Yes, I never got your name. Nami added. I'm Naruto Uzumaki, the Gamma Sennin. He said, striking a pose. Huh? Was all they said with a sweat drop forming on the back of their heads. Never mind me, what happened to you guys? He asked them again. The big red nose did this. The now named Zoro told him. Who? Naruto asked, perplexed. Buggy the clown, we are running away from him. Nami answered. Hey, you are running away, I'm just retreating for a while. Zoro told Nami, to which Luffy agreed by nodding him. What a coincidence, I'm looking for him. Point me in his direction, will you? Why? Why look for him, he's a bad man. Nami asked, suddenly cautious of Naruto. Was he going to join the man? Was he also a pirate? Well, I met with the mayor of this town and he told me of the crimes this Buggy has committed. I've got a bone to pick with guys like him, people who think that if they have power then they can do anything, even take someone's life. I hate people like them, and so for that reason I'm looking for him, to teach him a lesson. The way he said it struck a chord within Nami's heart, the conviction with which he said it made shivers go down her spine. It was as if he was talking about her situation, it made her respect him. Well, he's that way, Zoro said, pointing towards his direction. And by the way, do you need help with the cage, Luffy? Naruto asked them. Yes please, I've got it, Nami said, fishing a key out of her pocket before Naruto could act. Anyways, if an old man in makeshift armor comes here, kindly stop him from going ahead from this point. He's a good man and I don't want him getting hurt in the ensuing fight. Naruto told them. Sure, Luffy told him. Well, I sense 2 people coming this way. I trust that you guys can handle them, Naruto told them and took off in Buggy's direction. With Buggy. Damn that thief and her boss, Buggy muttered to himself. What are you guys doing gawking at my nose? Go catch them and bring me Roronoa's head. Captain Buggy, the man who defeated the superhuman Domingos is here. He is asking us to surrender peacefully and he will not hurt us, he says. He also said to give back what we have plundered from the town. Yo, Naruto greeted them casually as he walked towards Buggy. You've got quite a lot of nerve coming here. Get him, boys, Buggy ordered them to attack. Within few seconds most of Buggy's crew were lying on the ground, beaten and knocked out. It was so fast that if he hadn't seen this feat he would have considered it a joke by someone. Most of his crewmates were down on the ground. Now will you surrender peacefully or will you have me make an example out of you? He asked casually while picking his ear. Don't worry, Senchu, I'll handle this scum who thinks he can just traipse around here. The man was wearing a white and blue checkered scarf. Yes, Kabaji, see to it that I'm not disturbed, Buggy told the now named Kabaji. He started traveling towards Naruto on his unicycle and while feigning a forward slash yelled Kyokugi. Kaji Oyaji, blazing breath, and breathed fire on Naruto's face. He felt pride soar in his chest at defeating this opponent so easily but was shocked when he just found a burning log and instead of the blonde man. I'll show you how to breathe fire for real, Kaden, and he breathed out fire that easily dwarfed Kabaji's. It was just simple fire manipulation really, not even a real jutsu. The end result was Kabaji rolling on the floor, trying to put out the fire. But before he could get up, Naruto kicked him in the head, which sent him flying into a wall. Now surrender peacefully and I'll take you to this world's authorities. That's option A, and if you resist, I'll still take you to the authorities but with a broken body. That's option B. The choice is yours. I'll choose option C, I'll just kill you and get away scot-free, he said as he lunged at Naruto. I see you chose option B, Naruto said to him as he sidestepped his attacks and danced circles around him. Getting really tired of him not able to land a strike, Buggy disbanded his body into pieces and flew towards him, intending on surprising him with this attack. Naruto was, to say the least, surprised. He had seen weird abilities but this one took the prize. The moment of surprise cost him time which he could have used to dodge the attack. The sword made contact with Naruto's chest and broke into pieces. The reason was that Naruto hadn't yet exited the Sage mode he had entered when he came to the island. "Wah, how is this possible?" Buggy exclaimed. "It's a little thing that I have called Sennin mode. It augments my physical capabilities to superhuman levels. But enough of that. It's time for you to go to sleep," Naruto said as he grabbed his head and smashed it into his forehead. Buggy was knocked out instantly. Luffy and his friends who were watching this were floored. This man had just single-handedly defeated a man with 15 million belly bounty as if it was child's play. Then they remembered that they were running away from the townspeople for knocking out the mayor. Naruto, who saw them, started running with them. "Why are we running?" he asked innocently. "Because this idiot," Nami said pointing towards Luffy, "knocked the man you asked us to keep an eye out for." "What?" Naruto screamed out in rage. He knew Luffy would not do something like this for no reason, but he was just angry now. "Stop," Naruto said, holding out his hand, and they all stopped instinctively. "We are going to talk this through with the villagers and clear the misunderstanding. First of all, why did you knock him out, Luffy?" "Well, he was going to enter the fight that you were fighting, and when the villagers asked if I knocked him out I just said yes. That was exactly what I asked you to do, but you could have just restrained him. No need to knock an old man out." Imitating Nami's previous, "teehee," expression, Luffy said, "Teehee. Don't teehee me, you idiot." Naruto almost cried out, asking gods what he did to deserve to be in such a situation. "Hey, you, stop," a villager who noticed them cried out. They stood there until he reached them. "You will pay for attacking Boodle-san, he himself will sentence you as the mayor." Just then the mayor appeared out of the now forming crowd among them. "It's you, boy, I came searching for you but you were not there. Then this boy attacked me saying I couldn't interfere in the fight." He addressed Naruto. "Mayor-san, I assure you this is all just a misunderstanding. I went to face Buggy and asked this guys to not let you go there as you might have gotten hurt, but my friend here used excessive force by accident and thus you were knocked out. Tell you what, as a compensation you can collect the pirate's bounty and his treasure for yourself and repair the town. I won't collect it." "That sounds reasonable. Hey, what are you doing, Naruto? We could use the money." Nami asked him. "Nami, this people had been oppressed by the pirate and some even lost their lives. I can't just take their one chance of regaining their lives back from them. They need the money, and plus I'm sure Luffy will agree with me too, am I right, Luffy? Yeah, just give us meat and we are good." "Yo, you selfless idiots," Nami huffed, but understood the situation somewhat since it was similar to her own situation back home. "Hey Naruto." Luffy addressed him. "Huh?" Naruto, who was taking a nap on the small boat they four were in, replied, asked. "Join my crew, nah." Luffy, "While I would love to be your nakama, I just came here a day back. I need time to think about who I ally myself with. Please forgive me for declining your offer right now. But tell you what, I'll surely think about it." After which he went back to his nap. Luffy, who normally would have kept on pursuing this subject, decided to let him have time to think. Nami, who had been observing this, felt a sense of relief spread in her chest as she saw him decline his offer to be a pirate. While she didn't have anything against Luffy, she didn't exactly have good history with pirates. Zoro was napping blissfully, unaware that this conversation ever happened. "If we head south, there is a small inhabited village there. Maybe we can find a good ship there," Nami told them as she was looking over a map. Time to eat some meat," Luffy exclaimed at hearing the news regarding an inhabited village. You see, the past few days that they were on the small boat, They had been eating only fruits, as fruits were the only thing that had yet to go bad from heat. Some sake would be nice. Zoro chimed in. Some ramen would be good too. Naruto added. It seemed these past years hadn't affected his appetite for ramen. Grr, you guys only think about eating and drinking? Nami asked. Yes, replies Luffy. Naruto was in thinking his pose, thinking back on his fight with Buggy. The ability he had used was different than what he had seen back on his world. He wondered if there were more people who could separate their body into parts. Was that a Kekkei Genkei of Buggy's or some common technique in this world? Nami, who had been taking peeks at Naruto ever since they left Orangetown, noticed him deep in thought. Scooting closer to him, she asked, "What are you thinking about, Naruto?" "Oh, nothing, it's just that when fighting with Buggy he used this weird technique. He split his body into different parts and attacked me, you saw that right? So I was wondering how he did that." Naruto, who was roused of his trance, told her. "Oh, that? I think I know how he did that. He must have eaten a devil fruit that granted him those abilities." "Devil fruits?" Naruto asked, puzzled. "You know devil fruits, fruits that grant people who eat them abilities. Like Luffy here, for example, has eaten Gomu Gomu no Mi. That fruit changed his body to that of a rubber." "Oh, I see, so it can change your body like it did with Buggy and Luffy. Is that the extent of it?" "Well, yes, basically, but there are 3 types of fruit, namely Paramecia, which is what Luffy ate, and then there are Zone and Logia types. Logia is said to be strongest as you can't physically hurt them. But they all have one weakness, they can't swim, and in seas water their strength is sucked out of them." "Why don't you know about this? It's common knowledge. Were you living under a rock or something?" "Something like that," he mumbled. "Land ahoy!" Zoro shouted as he saw a silhouette of an island forming on the horizon. "Finally, now I can get some meat." Ignoring Luffy, Naruto asked her, "So do these fruits grow on a tree?" "And no, not that I know of. Even though the knowledge of fruits' powers is common, their origins are shrouded in mystery." Nami told him as she placed a stray strand of hair behind her ear. Soon they landed and docked the ship. The way to the village was cut between 2 opposing slopes of land that were at greater height than the road. Carrying out his usual routine when in a new place, Naruto spread his sensory awareness around. He sensed about 4 people hiding in the bushes, though they were no threat as they were just children and 1 teen, nothing he couldn't handle. Zoro, who was yawning, suddenly stiffened and placed his right hand on the sword. "Careful, someone's here." Just as he said, a number of projectiles were shot at Luffy's feet, which made him hop from one leg to other to dodge. It was quite comical to see. "Fear me, for I am the captain of pirates who conquered this village." A voice called out from atop one of the small cliff there. "Everyone praise me and call me Captain Usopp." The voice belonged to one boy. He was scrawny and was wearing brown overall with no shirt, a white sash at his hip and a yellow bag at his side. Though his most defining feature was his longer than normal nose. As he finished his proclamation, a number of pirate flags popped out of bushes. "If you enter here, you will have to face my 80 million men who will crush you like a bug." An expression of amazement and wonder spread across Naruto and Luffy's face respectively at hearing this. Luffy because he really believed that there were 80 million men there, and Naruto because he was impressed by the blatant lie the kid had just told them. 80 million, Luffy cried out in amazement. "Oi, idiot, that's a lie obviously," Zoro told him. What? A lie? Luffy sounded crestfallen. "Shit, he caught me," the long-nosed boy said to himself loudly. "I might not have millions of men at my command, but I have strong companions," he boasted. "All 3 of them?" Nami asked slyly. "Shit, we are caught. I can't do this. I don't want to die," said 3 different voices, and out of bushes came 3 little children and they scurried off towards the village. "Shit," said the long-nosed boy, and then suddenly he whipped out a slingshot out of his bag and aimed it at Luffy. "I might just be attacking with pachinko, but my skill with it is better than pistol." Adjusting his straw hat, eyes hidden by its shadow, Luffy said, "Now that you mentioned pistols." He looked up straight at the boy and stated, "Bet your life on it, it's not a tool to scare people." And just like that, all the determination the boy had disappeared. His legs started quivering and his ammo pachinko fell to the ground. "As I thought, real pirates are a different thing," the boy again loudly said to himself. At hearing this, Luffy and Zoro started laughing. "I just repeated what my idol Shanks once said." Shanks, you say? You know that great pirate?" the boy asked Luffy, a sense of wonder spreading across his face. Usopp isn't it, your father's name? The boy was shocked to say the least and in his shock lost his footing on the cliff and fell down comically. How do you know my father? The boy asked Luffy curiously. I met him when he was with Shanks. I believe he still is. Your father is the best marksman I've ever seen. Luffy told him. I see, the boy said, unable to contain his excitement. Not to intrude on this emotional moment, but can we get to eat and talk? I'm hungry, you know. Naruto, who was observing this silently, broke his silence. Ah yes, meat. Luffy agreed. And that's why I know about you. Your father never stopped once he started talking about you. After Luffy had recounted his story regarding Usopp, Usopp was extremely happy at hearing that his father was really a great pirate. Nami broached the subject regarding their need for a ship, but Usopp said that they were just a small village. Then when Zoro pointed out the large expensive-looking mansion and whether or not if they could finance them, Usopp suddenly got mum about it. Then citing that he remembered something important, he left asking them to order anything as he knew the owner of the shop pretty well. Well, that could have gone better, Naruto said, patting his stomach. He had devoured 15 bowls of ramen. It was safe to say that Naruto loved ramen as much as Luffy loved meat. Just then there was a chime at the door and the 3 kids that had ran away appeared with short wooden swords in their hands. What have you done with Captain Usopp? A boy with green pepper-like hairstyle asked. Ah, that was some good meat, Luffy said, rubbing his gut. Don't tell me that Captain Usopp was. Zoro, not missing the chance to mess with the kids, said with an evil glint in his eyes. Your captain was eaten. Oni Baba, they said, pointing at Nami, who a second ago was enjoying the show. Naruto, who heard this, burst out laughing. Oh, Oni Baba, he said, holding his stomach. After hearing Naruto laugh at the name, she blushed and started cursing Luffy and Zoro. The kids were looking at them in abject horror. Seeing this, Naruto tried to calm them down. Settle down, kids, your friend just remembered some important stuff to do and went away just a while ago. You can still find him, but if you would be so kind, I believe my friends have some questions for you. Hearing this, they relaxed visibly. Okay, that's good, because otherwise we would have beaten you, the boy with the orange cap bandana said with false bravado. Well, first, if all your names would be nice, Nami said. Oh, that's an easy one. I'm Tamanegi, the boy with the glasses said, and then pointing at the boy with orange and bandana. He's Ninjin, and that's Piamon. And after that they answered many of their questions regarding the village and where they could get a big ship. The kids told them about the mansion and its owner's history. Turned out the now owner of the mansion was a young sickly girl named Kaya. 3 years back her parents had died in an accident and she had been orphaned, but all was not sad as she found faithful servant and friend in her butler Klahadore. He was her ever since her father took him in from the streets. It turned out to cheer her up. Usopp would tell her outrageous lies about his supposed adventures, and he was very protective of Kaya, and that might have been the reason why he was mum about the mansion and its people. It was then that Luffy decided that they should ask her for a ship. So they went to the mansion led by the 3 Usopp pirates. There were guards at the gate, so Luffy had a bright idea, which was actually a stupid one, but they went along with it nevertheless. Luffy stretched his arms, grabbing the fence and creating a slingshot, and then asked everybody to grab him. And then they flew up and later came crashing down on the other side of the fence by a tree on which Usopp was sitting. Naruto was the only one who landed gracefully. Using his mastery over wind, he glided down like a badass while carrying the 3 kids safely down. Kaya and Usopp were surprised to see them. Who are they? Kaya asked Usopp, a bit afraid of the strangers. Don't be afraid. They are people who heard about me and have come to join me. Usopp lied. That's not it. I have a favor to ask you, Luffy told the girl. A favor from me? Kaya asked, surprised. Yes, we need a big ship, Luffy stated, spreading out his arms to signify big. You there, what are you doing here? A man within a black suit and with glasses asked as he walked towards Klahadore. You are trespassing here and causing trouble, he told them. Now Butler-san, we are just trying to ask the Oju-sama here a favor, Naruto said, trying to ease in the tension. For all I care, you might as well be begging, he said to Naruto, and then to Kaya he said, Kaya-sama, how many times have I told you not to associate with this kind of filth? He is the town's troublemaker. He lies to you, Kaya-sama. His father is just a low-life pirate who left his mother and him to chase a worthless dream. Klahadore, cease this at once. Apologize to Usopp-san, Kaya told him. Why should I Oju-sama, what I'm saying is the truth. He is just a son of a low-class pirate. You called my father low-class. Usopp said through gritted teeth. What you are actually owning up to the fact that he is your father. At times like this you should just do what you do best, lie. Just say that he is not your real father or that he is not your birth father. Really angry now, Usopp descended from the tree and was about to charge at Klahadore, but a grip on his shoulder stopped him. Looking back he saw one Naruto Uzumaki staring at him with warm but steely gaze, as if judging him. Under his gaze Usopp faltered and his anger seemed to disappear. He's not worth it, not right now, Naruto told Usopp. We're leaving, he told the group. Yes, leave and don't come back. Klahadore called out. It was evening time and sun was setting, leaving a fire-orange hue across the clouds. After they had left the mansion grounds Usopp left the group saying he needed to be alone. He was on a cliff sitting on a rock overlooking the sea. Below the cliff was a small rocky expanse of a beach. It was here that Naruto found him sitting alone. He went and sat by his side. You know why I stopped you? Naruto broke the silence after a full minute. When no reply came he answered his own question. Throughout life people will make you mad, disrespect you and treat you bad. Let karma deal with the things they do, because hate in your heart will consume you too. It will make you do things that you wouldn't normally do just because. Don't give them the satisfaction of seeing whether the things they said about you are true. You know in your heart that your father is a great man and many other know it too. Don't let what he said get to you. I see, Usopp said solemnly. He wasn't still convinced though, because he wanted to sock that butler right across his face. He wanted him to take back what he said, but he saw the truth in what Naruto said. He wouldn't do that because he knew what he said held no ground. What did he know about his dad anyways? Turning, he thanked Naruto and was about to get up, but Naruto held his down and put a hand over his mouth. Usopp was distressed. What was this blonde man going to do him? Then he saw what Naruto was pointing at. Klahadore and a man with dirty blonde hair and wearing a purple coat were walking towards the area below the cliff. I see you still haven't gotten around to controlling your powers. Klahadore told the man in pink dressing. I assure you I have them under control. Then why did I find you sleeping in the middle of the road? You're attracting attention to yourself when I specifically told you not to. I'm sorry, won't happen again. The weird man said, sounding a bit ashamed. Django, I must ask you. How are the preparations for the plan going along? They are coming along fine, Kuro. By tomorrow morning the Oju-sama will be dead and you'll be living like a king, Django told him. For me to live like a king you must first hypnotize her and make her sign the will giving her inheritance to me and make it look like that an accident killed her. Okay Kuro. And raise this village to the ground. Let them know the might of Kuro pirates. Usopp sucked in a breath through gritted teeth. These men were going to kill Kaya. He had to warn her. Naruto had the same thought going through his mind, but he knew she wouldn't believe them. She would trust in Klahadore and not them. They slowly inched away from the cliff and towards the road. We have to tell her, she has to know what they're planning. Usopp said, wiping the sweat that had formed on his forehead. Yes we do, but do you truly believe that she will trust you over him? He has been with her for years, taking care of her, being there for her, perfecting his disguise. As it is now he is more trustworthy and loyal that they can't imagine Klahadore betraying them. We have to think this through. All we know is that they are going to attack tomorrow morning from sea, I guess. We have to base our plan around it. Yeah, that's good. You make a plan while I'll warn the villagers. And with that Usopp took off. It seemed that he was stubborn as an oak tree. Naruto made a clone and made him follow Usopp discreetly while he went back to his friends. He found them sitting by a fence on the side of the road. Zoro was napping like always. Luffy was talking animatedly with the kids and Nami was sitting lost in thought. Yo, Naruto greeted them. Naruto, where were you? You know we were just going to look for you. Nami asked, getting out of her stupor. Yeah, I was with Usopp. I thought he might need someone to talk to, you know, after his dad was insulted. Naruto told her, walking towards her. He took a seat by her side. By the way kids, Usopp told me to tell you guys to go home. Your moms were looking for you or something. The kids looked confused. Why would their mother ask Usopp to spread this message? Their mothers hated Usopp and their involvement with him. But they went home nevertheless as it was already getting late. After the kids were out of sight, Naruto spoke up again. Wake up Zoro, I think all of you need to know this. After Zoro had woken up, Naruto told them what they had overheard. Just as he finished, Usopp came running towards them. He was panting from the exhaustion. It looked like he had been shot at, if the wound on his shoulder was anything to go by. Guys, I tried, I really did, but no one would believe me. They said if I was as trustworthy as Klahadore they would have believed me, but I'm just a town's liar to them. Well, there goes our plan A. Thankfully I had the mind to construct a plan B. We are going to protect the village from the pirates. I'm not going to force you guys to do this. If you're going to help me, do it on your own volition. Naruto told them, it's because every life is precious and these are just innocent villagers whose only crime was to trust in Klahadore. I for one am not going to stand by idly as they are slaughtered for one man's ambition. So who, with me? Naruto asked. Even though Usopp's legs were quivering in fear, he raised his hand. I know this village doesn't hold me in high regard, but this is the village that I was born in. This is my home, the place where my friends live, the place where Kaya lives, so I am going to protect this place with my life. How can I call myself a brave warrior of sea if I couldn't protect my home? Atta boy Usopp. You have my strength, Luffy told them. And my swords, Zoro added. And my air wooden staff? Nami said, trying to include herself in the conversation. Alright, I'm proud of you guys for doing this for the village. We may not get the recognition, but we'll sleep better knowing what we did. Naruto told them. But what about Kaya? Won't she be in danger now that Klahadore is at her home now? I tried warning Kaya, but Mary, another one of her servants, shot me. I've already taken care of that matter. Now I could easily take out the pirates, but you guys need to grow if you are going to be a formidable crew. But first we need to know your skills. I can cut, Zoro said. I can steal, Nami added. I can stretch, Luffy stated. I can hide, Usopp said nonchalantly. Okay, Usopp and Nami-chan aside, only two of you have fighting skills. I know Nami can handle herself against 2-3 pirates with her staff. Usopp, you stay behind and provide long-range support. So there are two places where they can dock their ships. One is the place where we docked and the other on the south side of here. I think we should split up. Luffy and Zoro, you take side while me and Nami will take the north. Usopp, you will go to Kaya's place and keep an eye on the goings there. If anything or anyone gets past us, you will have to take care of them. We'll make sure that it doesn't happen. Quote, if the pirates don't land on the either north or south side of the village, the respective team will go and back the other one. Anyone have anything else to add? He asked them. With a collective no, the plan was set in motion. Now they just had to wait for the morning. The sun came up over the horizon and thus the day began. Everything was silent, as if the Mother Nature was spectating what was going to happen. No birds were singing and no crickets were chirping. The only sound was of the wind cutting through the cliffs on either side of the road. The sea was void of any vessels traversing through it, and Luffy was getting bored. He wanted to fight strong people and test his mettle. Zoro too wanted that. Maybe they should have opted and taken the northern slope where the action was maybe happening. They decided that they had waited enough and they started moving towards the northern slope. 3 hours later, Luffy and Zoro arrived to the side of the slope filled with unconscious pirates tired in bunches. Klahadore, or Captain Kuro as he was called by his crew, was among them, his face swollen bloody. They had been lost on the way there, with Luffy saying that they should go where it was cold to reach the north slope and Zoro following his captain. At one point, Luffy lost Zoro, so he had to look for him, and by the time they got there, they were 3 hours late and it seemed that the action was over. Naruto was sitting by a tree while Nami was looking for the treasure on the pirate ship. Usopp was sitting with Kaya, who was fussing over his injuries. Yo, nice of you two to join us here, Naruto quipped. What happened here? Zoro asked, impressed. Did you do this alone? Well, Nami-chan helped somewhat. What were you guys doing? Well, Zoro got lost on the way here, so I had to look for him, Luffy said, trying to blame him. Smacking Luffy upside the head, Zoro said, hey, you were the one who was making us lost. Nami, who came back empty-handed, was observing this. Anyways, you should have seen Naruto fight here. His fight with Buggy was nothing compared to this. His speed, oh man, I couldn't even see him. He defeated them within a minute. I didn't even have to do anything. And then when Kuro came and started blitzing from here to there, Naruto just grabbed him out of thin air and punched him so bad that he got knocked out. And then another Naruto came with Kaya and Usopp, but then after talking with our Naruto here, he disappeared in smoke. Nami said, unable to hide her excitement. Sugoi. Luffy was amazed at hearing this, while Zoro was impressed to say the least, but they were both confused about the other Naruto part. After the fight, Kaya had asked them to come over the beach by the mansion the next day, to which they complied. They were surprised when she gifted them a Caravel-class ship. Is this really for us? Luffy asked excitedly. Yes, please accept it. Kaya told him. The ship's name is Going Merry, it's a Caravel-class ship. Let me brief you on the working of the ship. First, on how to turn it on and adjust the POW. No, you just need to tell me how to operate it, it'll go over these guys' heads anyways. Hey, you calling me stupid, Nami-chan? No, Naruto, I'm calling you an idiot. Nami said, sticking out her tongue playfully. After that, Usopp came to bid them goodbye and said that he was finally ready to commence his journey as a pirate. He said that he would see them soon. But Luffy asked him, why? You're really slow, aren't you? Now that I'm a pirate, we might meet someday out on the sea. Usopp told him matter-of-factly. What are you talking about? Get on the ship, Zoro just said to him. We're already Nakama, Luffy added. Usopp's eyes started to tear up and a bit of snot came out his nose. I'm the captain, he said, jumping up excitedly. Hey, I'm the captain, Luffy added, jumping down the ship. Naruto, who was watching this heartfelt moment between the friends, just made a sad smile. Must be nice to have friends. Naruto had been contemplating on what to do ever since he came to this world. Meeting Luffy and his merry band of pirates had served as a good distraction, but that was just temporary. He needed to bring peace to a war-torn world, and he managed that back in his world by the skin of his teeth, a place where he had bonds. Here he was alone, no Kuramas to give him advice and bicker within the melds. He had only few bonds in this world, and one of them was with the little girl he had met 20 years ago. He wanted to sail with Luffy and fight with Zoro and talk with Nami and have fun with Usopp, but his ambition held him back from this. He knew what both Kuramas would have told him, "Live now, you've already done and suffered enough. Enjoy this world," but he knew within his heart that he wouldn't be able to do that. He had promised his sensei that he would find a way so that people could live in a world free of conflict, and for better or worse this was his world now. His home away from home. He needed to do that, and he couldn't do that as a pirate. The world saw pirates as a menace. They would never heed his words or follow his teachings. While he liked his new friends, could he forsake the world for them? He knew the old Naruto would do that in a heartbeat, but this one, the one who lived for a century, would weigh pros and cons, and this time the bad outweighed the good. But he wouldn't be Naruto if let his new friends alone for his goal, so he came to a compromise. He would place a seal on them that would let him teleport to them in an instant, or vice versa. This would make sure that they were safe, because just as they believed him to be their Nakama, deep down Naruto too believed them to be his new Nakama, plus friendship with future Pirate King would only increase his chances for end of conflict in this world. It was ironic really, his world went through 4 great world wars before they could achieve peace. Very few understood that for peace to be there, you had to understand the way world worked. He needed to know the workings of this world before he attempted anything. He could do that by becoming a part of Marines, but that would restrict his workings, or he could forge his own way. After a lot of contemplation, he decided that he would become a wanderer like he was, offering his services to those who deserved it. It was decided then, he would have his own adventure. He would miss Luffy's antics and Zoro and Nami's bickering and Usopp's bold lies. Now he had to break this news to them. They deserved to know, plus he also had to place the seal on them. Outside, Luffy and Usopp were practicing their hand at the cannons, while Nami was in the dining area with him going over maps, and Zoro was napping on one of the chairs. Hey Nami, we need to talk. Yeah? You know, when we reach the next isla. Boom. There was a sound of cannon firing, and then Luffy's cheers could be heard along with Usopp's. They entered the kitchen area and started talking animatedly with each other, loudly. He continued again, on the next island where there are ships IWI. He was interrupted, again. This time a crash resounded on the deck of the ship and voice could be heard swearing up and down. They went out to see what that was all about, and they saw a tanned man with sunglasses breaking things on the ship and calling them out. Luffy, who saw this, got enraged, stretched his arms and pulled the man into a wall on the ship. That's when Zoro came out and look of recognition spread across his face. Hey you. Aren't you Johnny? Who dares to call my name with such disrespect? Zoro Iniki? What are you doing here destroying our ship? Zoro Iniki, you're a pirate? Well, I became one recently, but that still doesn't answer my question to you. Zoro Iniki, it's Yosaku. He's dying and I don't know what to do, Johnny broke down. Oi, settle down, where is he? Get him in here, Zoro said a bit alarmed. Naruto felt badly for him, losing a friend was a depressing thing. They got the now named Yosaku up on the ship and Johnny started narrating his symptoms. Nami, who came down when they brought him up, was listening intently. She later announced that he had scurvy and that he needed vitamin C-rich products to make him better. You too, she said, pointing at Luffy and Usopp. Go to storeroom and get lemons, many lemons. They brought up a barrel of lemons and started squeezing it into Yosaku's mouth. A minute later Yosaku was up and he and Johnny were dancing and chanting, he got better. He got better. You don't get better that quick, Nami shouted at them. Forgive us for not introducing ourselves. I'm Johnny. And I'm Yosaku. And we are pirate hunters. And after that Yosaku fell down again, his face pale. Yosaku had been laid down in the quarters with the help of Zoro and Naruto. They were in the kitchen eating when Nami reprimanded Luffy for his lack of knowledge on diseases one can suffer on a long sea trip. Yes, I agree with Nami-chan. You should add someone with proper dietary knowledge to your crew, Luffy, Naruto told him. After a moment of silence, Luffy, who was munching on a dry piece of bread, announced his intent to add a sea cook to their crew. Everyone agreed with that decision and then they realized the question hanging over their heads. Where would they get a sea cook? Thankfully Johnny came to the rescue saying that he knew a place where they could recruit a cook. The place was Barati, the sea's restaurant. It was at this time that Naruto decided to announce his decision. Now that we are all here, I think we need to talk. After we reach the next island, I'm thinking of separating from you guys. I like you guys and think of you as my nakama, but what I have a dream and it can't be achieved if I become a pirate. After 5 minutes of silence Luffy spoke. I understand. Luffy was surprisingly civil. Usopp was protesting and Zoro was the one who told Usopp that when a man has a dream, one shouldn't stop them from reaching for it. This calmed down Usopp a bit. Johnny didn't have anything to add because he had just met the guy. Nami was the one who was hit the hardest, though she hid it under a smile. She felt betrayed. She thought that they had a connection, a bond that was forming ever since he saved her from the superhuman Domingos. Her heart felt constricted for some reason and it hurt. God damn, it hurt. She was thinking of telling him her story and was going to ask him for help seeing how strong he was, but now he was leaving. She couldn't ask him that now, he was leaving them, never to come back. She didn't want to burden him with that. She thought he was selfish, focusing on his dream and leaving his friends alone. Now she wasn't even sure if he would have helped her if she asked. After all, who was she to him? She excused herself from the meeting and went to her room to vent. The next day reached the sea restaurant. As they were nearing it, a marine ship came out of nowhere heading in the same direction. A pink-haired man with a scar on his face came out on the deck and was facing them. I've never seen this flag before, said the man. Who is your captain? I'm Luffy. I'm Usopp. The flag was designed just yesterday, Luffy said. I was the one who designed the flag, Usopp said. He laughed. What kind of crew is this? Looking towards Johnny and Yosaku. I know you guys, don't you claim to be pirate hunters? Looks like you caught some. He laughed at his own joke. Johnny, who was enraged at being made fun of, threw down his wanted posters aiming it at the marine's face, but the wind brought them back to the ship where they scattered on the floor. Just then a blonde woman in a red party dress came out and hugged his arm. Full body San. Let's go eat. Yes darling, let's. As he was going back he told his marine guards, this ship is an eyesore, sink it. Yes sir, the marines responded. They readied their cannons and aimed it at Going Merry. Naruto was going to act but Luffy beat him to him. He stretched his hands to both ends of the ship and acting as a slingshot was about to redirect the cannonball, but he lost his hold on one end of the ship and the cannonball with its inertia shot towards the sea restaurant where it broke through the roof. A few chefs came out of the restaurant and dragged Luffy back inside. But Naruto wasn't paying attention to that. He was paying attention at Nami. She was looking intently at the poster of one Arlong. He was a mix between a human and a shark, reminded Naruto of Kisame, what with his blue skin and serrated teeth. Over the years Naruto had mastered the art of body language and so he could read other people using that, not that he needed to anyways as he had his emotion sensing ability, but he didn't like to use it on friends as it was paramount to reading their minds. Nami was enraged and scared, her teeth were gritted and was nose-flaring. Her body was stiff as a cardboard and her heartbeat was fast. He caught that last part due to his enhanced senses. She was reacting almost murderously to the poster. It seemed that she hated this pirate for some reason. Going over to her side, he put a comforting hand over her shoulder and she tensed a little. He gave her a comforting smile and she relaxed. Her eyes were watery, almost on the verge of tears. Naruto was about to say something to comfort her, but she excused herself from the deck. Naruto had noticed ever since he announced his intent to go separate ways. Nami had been avoiding him. They were inside the restaurant waiting for their food. It turned out the owner of the place had made a deal with Luffy. He would work here for a year and the owner would then forgive him. Naruto and the others had gotten tired of waiting for him on the ship and had entered the restaurant. They were met with a scene of the marine full body being beaten to shit by one man in a suit and tie. He was a blonde man and from what Naruto could see, his eyebrows curled into a spiral. The man in the suit was stopped by the cooks and another cook who came out of the room started a verbal fight with the man in the suit on how to treat paying customers. Just then a marine came inside and informed Full Body that the pirate Jin of Don Krieg's crew had escaped and killed 9 marines. Just then Naruto quickly tackled the marine and just as he tackled him, a shot was fired. Fortunately for the marine, Naruto was fast enough to save him from the gunshot. The marine thanked him reluctantly what with being saved by a pirate. The man named Jin took a seat on one of the tables and ordered food. When asked if he had money to pay for it, he pointed his gun at the cook. He was severely beaten by the cook for that while the other patrons cheered him on. After a few minutes Luffy entered the room wearing a waiter's outfit and started serving them. Zoro cracked a few jokes at his expense which Luffy got enraged at. To make Zoro pay, Luffy picked his nose and dropped his booger in Zoro's glass when he wasn't looking. Nami, Usopp and Naruto were trying to hold themselves from laughing out too loudly so as not to alert Zoro. But it seemed he had caught on what was happening and forced the contents of the glass down Luffy's throat. Nami and Usopp were banging the table whilst laughing and Naruto had a serene smile on his face. He would miss these antics and them when he separated. Just then the man in the suit came back, got on his knees while holding a rose and started admiring Nami's beauty and Luffy told them that this man whose name was Sanji was their new cook. Luffy and Sanji had a fight amongst themselves with one saying that he is not their cook while Luffy saying that he refuses to accept him as not his cook. Just then the owner came and dragged both of them to kitchen. It was the afternoon of the 4th day there and Luffy was still working as a waiter. Usopp and Zoro and Nami were inside but Naruto went back to the ship. All that eating had made him drowsy so he went for a nap. Naruto woke up and stretched his arms, yawning he got up. That was the best sleep he had in days he thought. Getting outside on the deck, he was expecting it to be still docked in front of Baratie but he was surprised to see that the ship was docked by land. He extended his senses to encompass the ship and found out that he was alone on it. Did they leave and forgot to wake me up? He thought. Anyways he was getting tired of being on the ship. He needed some solid land under his feet now. He got out of the ship and onto the land. He walked for a few minutes and entered what used to be a town, but the strange thing was that it was deserted of any living things and all the houses were upturned. Hey you, who are you? Naruto Uzumaki, the wandering sage, Naruto said striking a pose. The man who questioned him looked like a mix of human and a fish, like the pirate in the poster that Nami had. Have you seen a suspicious long-nosed boy here? Naruto then noticed Usopp hiding inside the rubble. He was motioning to keep his lips pursed and voicing, "Shish. Have I? No, I can't say I have, sorry. What are you doing here anyways? Don't you know Arlong-san has forbidden anyone from coming here?" Oh, has he? I must apologize, I just arrived here, and I didn't know that. I'll leave now. He said turning around. Who said you could leave? Once you enter this island, you can't leave. Now do you have 100,000 belly to pay as ransom? The fishman asked. Why would I need to pay ransom? Naruto asked curiously. It's because for you to live, you need to pay up. Now do you have money? He asked getting irritated with this polite human. I'm afraid I'm quite broke. What would one do in such a situation? Naruto asked, curious to know what would happen. The fishman unhooked the sword strapped to his hip and took a step forward. In that case, you die, he said with glee and he charged at Naruto. Naruto just caught the sword mid-swing. He applied a little force to the sword and it broke into pieces. Usopp was amazed at this display. Sure, he had heard about his fight with Kuro from Nami, but this hearing about it and seeing it were two different things. It seemed that Naruto wasn't even trying. Unbeknownst to them, two more people were watching this exchange. The first one was a woman with light blue hair and tanned skin, and the other was a short young boy. They were watching in horror and one in glee as the blonde man fought the fish man. Back to Naruto, he said, "Now why would you do that? I believe we were having such a great conversation. Why would you attack me now? Shut up, you stinky human, you dare to fight me. I'll show you the might of fishmen." And then he got into a stance that resembled a weird taijutsu stance back on Naruto's homeworld, and he attempted to punch Naruto in the gut, but Naruto dodged that by sidestepping and then getting behind the fishman karate chopped him on nape of his neck, effectively driving him unconscious. As soon as he fell to the ground, Usopp came out of the hiding and started dancing around Naruto, seemingly happy that the enemy had been taken care of. Just then the two spectators entered the area. "Awesome, you taught that fishman a lesson," the little boy said. "You shouldn't have done that. Now when he gets back up he's going to tell Arlong, and Arlong will tear up this island to look for you," the light-haired woman said. "Well, he didn't give me a choice, it was either that or get hurt, and I'll almost always chose not to get hurt unless there are other circumstances." Turning towards Usopp, he asked, "Where are the others? I woke up and you were all gone." What? You mean to say that you and Nami didn't plan this?" Usopp asked. "Huh? Plan what?" Naruto asked him back, confused. "You know, after you went inside the ship, after a while Nami followed you, and then later Johnny and Yosaku came inside the restaurant saying that Nami had pushed them into the sea and stolen the ship. I thought you and her were in on this." "What nonsense, I was feeling drowsy so I came to the ship for a nap. I just woke up and came here, and then I met the fish man and you," Naruto told him. "We better make ourselves scarce, we don't want to be here when he wakes up." The woman told them, "Come with me, I know a place where we can lay low." They followed her outside the village and into the forest. There in the midst of the trees there was a modest house, it felt homely. Surrounding it were tangerine groves with oranges were growing on some of them. She motioned for them to take a seat. "You should leave her alone. Let her do what she wants to," blue-haired woman said. "I'm sorry, who are you exactly and why should we leave Nami-chan alone?" "I'm sorry I didn't introduce myself. I'm Nijiko, Nami's sister." "Well, that answers only one of our questions. You should leave her alone. Nami won't like you people meddling in her affairs, that's why I'm telling you to leave her alone." "Oh, you're her sister?" Usopp cried out. "For better or worse she's one of my precious people now, and even if she herself wanted to she couldn't keep me away from her." "I wouldn't say that. She's handled herself quite well for years and now she's so close to her dream. Please don't meddle in her affairs at this crucial time. I know you defeated that fish man quite easily, but Arlong is on whole another level. You won't be match for him and Nami would lose another friend." She pleaded to him. Naruto wanted to snort at that. Even back on his world people would be hard-pressed to find a man that could give him a good fight, let alone defeat him, and here Nami's sister thought that this Arlong would defeat him. But he couldn't blame her, it seemed that this Arlong had created a deep-seated fear towards him. What he did to do that Naruto had no idea, but he must have done something horrible. Naruto thought that he would do. Nijiko told him, "For now. If what she said was true, and if it regarded her dream, then he thought he would wait until she needed him. He had a plan in mind. I'm going for a walk. But there are fishmen out there, Naruto, what if they find you?" Usopp asked, seemingly concerned. "Believe me, Usopp, when I say that they won't find me. Take care and try not to get into any trouble." And with that Naruto left the house. "He's gonna die if he thinks he can defeat Arlong," Nijiko told them. "I believe in him, he might not look like it but he's really strong. He saved my village from pirates," Usopp told her. Naruto first went to the place where he had fought the fishman. Fortunately for Naruto's plan he was still knocked out. Biting his thumb with enough force to draw blood, he wrote a blood seal on the fishman's head. One of the characters was kanji for hold. With a few short hand seals he activated the seal. Then he dragged the fishman into one of the upturned houses and hid him behind some rubble. Now for the next part, he did a quick hand seal and Naruto was the spitting image of the fishman he just hid. He closed his eyes and a second later they gained orange pigmentations around his eyes. Sensing the place with most chakra signatures, he started walking towards the place. He released the Senin mode. He could differentiate them because the signatures were on level with academy-level students, with 2-3 being Genin level and 1 being Chunin level. He walked for a while and came upon a set of imposing gates. He opened them and entered. Met with a sight that would have made a normal man flinch, Naruto walked forward. There were bodies of unconscious fishmen lying around, some with cuts across their bodies. Naruto didn't need to be a detective to figure out that it was all Zoro's work. He went by the fountain and sat by it. Minutes later, a human and an octopus hybrid came by and started anguishing over his fallen comrades. When he noticed Naruto hanged as a fish man, he came over to him. "Maki, who did this?" he asked Naruto, enraged. "I don't know, I just came here now. I was chasing a human but he disappeared on me. So I came by here. Whoever did this, I'll make them pay," the octo hybrid told him with determination burning in his eyes. Naruto remained silent. After what seemed like an hour of lollygagging for Naruto, Arlong came by seemingly enraged. He got angrier when he saw the situation of his crew. His other crew members that came with him placated him lest he destroy their base in a fit of rage. Minutes later, Nami came by and she talked with Arlong about something. They were whispering so he couldn't hear them properly, so Naruto went and sat near them. After a while, a group of fishmen came dragging a screaming Usopp, who they tied and set him by the pool that entered the sea. "So this is one of the fools who followed you here, hoping to get you back?" Arlong asked Nami. She didn't respond, just looked at Usopp. "Nami, you don't have to do this. You know Luffy and Naruto can help, just come back with us." Usopp pleaded with her. "You truly are a fool. Nami is the kind of woman who will betray even her family for money." Arlong laughed while telling this to Usopp. Naruto, who was observing this, noticed Nami clenching her fist and gritting her teeth. It seemed like she didn't agree with what Arlong said, and neither did Naruto for that matter. "Nami, kill him. Show us your loyalty," Arlong commanded her. "Gladly," Nami said through her teeth. "Nami, don't do this, you're not like this. Please don't do it," Usopp cried out. Just as Naruto was about to act, though he knew Nami would never kill Usopp, these other people would, so as he was about to swoop in and escape with Usopp. Usopp dropped a smoke bomb trying to escape. But just as Naruto relaxed, there was a sound of flesh being stabbed and Usopp was dropped into the pool. He couldn't believe that Nami had done that. She had attacked Usopp. Jumping into the water, he startled the other fishmen. He swam towards where Usopp's dying self should be but found Usopp hastily swimming away. Sensing other fishmen following him, Naruto grabbed Usopp by his waist and created a Rasengan in other hand, which he projected into a beam. 1. And his speed increased enough that he was able to leave the following fishmen in the dust, or in this case bubbles. X. Naruto and Usopp were on dry land, drying themselves off. When he had brought them onto the land, Usopp was scared of him, the reason being Naruto was still in his disguise. After disengaging the henge, Usopp calmed down considerably. He explained to Naruto that Nami had stabbed her hand and made it look like as if Usopp had been stabbed. Naruto wanted to curse himself for doubting Nami. He felt like he betrayed her for some reason. Anyways, his cover was blown, so he couldn't go to Arlong Park again, not unless he wanted to fight his way through, which he didn't have any qualms about. That's when they saw a flying boat moving at high speed towards them. Naruto grabbed Usopp and they were out of the way in an instant. The ship went flying over the land and into the forest. They decided to see who it was, though Naruto knew only one person capable of such antics. They found Luffy, the cook Sanji and Yosaku on the broken ship. Just as they were getting out of the ship, Zoro arrived asking them what took so long. Just as they regrouped, a frantic Johnny came running by. Nami Ineki killed Usopp and Nikki, she stabbed high. Johnny's face was horror-struck, his mouth agape and his face pale white. It was almost as if he had seen a ghost. He was looking at Usopp and was trying really hard to form words. "Oi, Usopp is alive," Zoro told Johnny, who was still reeling over from the shock. "You guys should really leave Nami alone," Nijiko called out to them coming out of the forest. "And I already told you that I won't do that," Naruto told her. Sanji's eyes were love-struck and he started proclaiming about her beauty and his love to her. "I'll tell you why she is doing what she is doing, but after that you must go." Luffy and Zoro went away, citing that they didn't find Nami's past interesting. Naruto too wanted to leave, but he needed to know why she was with Arlong. Soon, Nijiko told them about how they were adopted by Belmir, and how they lived a happy life until Arlong came. She told them about his demand of 50,000 belly for children and 100,000 belly for adults to live every month. How their mother only had 100,000 belly but chose to sacrifice her life for her children to live freely, and how he murdered her in front of her kids. How he kidnapped Nami after seeing her cartography skills and made her work for him. How Nami made a deal with Arlong that if she gathered 100 million belly she could buy off Kokoyashi village from him. At the end of the story, Naruto's blood was boiling. How that man could treat human lives as property to be sold. How could he make them pay for their own lives? How dare he make Nami's life so miserable? In his whole life, this was the second time Naruto truly hated someone for what they had done. First was Sasuke and now this man, Arlong. He was about to go and make him pay when Nami came by. You people should just go. Don't you realize that I was just acting to get your treasure? Why are you meddling in my affairs? Just leave, I don't want to see your faces anymore. Arlong is coming to kill you, so you better go quickly. Nami told them. It was clear to Naruto that she was on the verge of tears. He wanted to hug her, tell her it'll be okay, and comfort her in any way possible. He couldn't bear to see her so vulnerable, but he chose to do nothing. If he meddled in her affairs now, she would just hate him needlessly. He needed her permission to do what he wanted to. She went ahead towards the village after her monologue. He followed her, but when he realized that she was going back home, he stopped. She needed some time alone, he thought. There was a sound of a gunshot and Naruto woke up with a start. He didn't realize that he had drifted into sleep. Birds started scattering from the trees and he could hear villagers rushing towards Nami's house. He followed them. There was Nijiko there, bleeding from her stomach, but she seemed okay. Nami was nowhere in sight. Lay down, I'll heal it, he told her. The villagers were surrounding her. As she laid down, he tore the piece of her t-shirt where the blood had appeared. He brought his palms over her wound and a green glow started being emitted from his hands. First he got the bullet out and then worked on closing the wound. Within seconds the wound was gone, as if it was never there. She was shocked that her wound had been healed easily. She was sure that it was going to leave a scar. What happened here? He asked. That bastard Nezumi, he's a marine under Arlong's paycheck. He came here and started searching the house for illegally stashed money. He said Nami was illegally hoarding money. When he couldn't find anything in the house, he started upturning the tangerine groves. Nami attacked him, so he shot at her, but I intervened and took the shot. Nami went to Arlong to talk to him about this. I think Arlong went back on his deal. I see, was all what Naruto said. Take care of yourself, I'll go look for Nami. Naruto then said. As Naruto was walking back to Arlong Park, he met Nami halfway. She looked spent and was crying. She came to a stop when she saw him and turned her head around, seemingly ashamed of herself. Nami, talk to me. What happened in there? He asked gently. Nami, tell me what happened so I can beat the shit out of him. Why do you care? She asked between sobs. Damn it, Nami, how can you ask that? Of course I care. Believe it or not, you're one of my precious people, my nakama, our nakama. Just as I and your friends would endanger our life for you, I believe you will too. Back where I come from it's called the Will of Fire. It's obvious when you saved Usopp at the risk of your cover being blown in front of Arlong. Learn to rely on your friends, because I don't know where I would be if not for that handful of friends that kept me going. So say the word and it will be Arlong's downfall. I don't condone violence, but that doesn't mean I won't rely on it when necessary. Why would you do this for me? I'm just some girl you had the bad luck of meeting. Are you wearing earplugs? Did you not hear what I was saying just now? It doesn't matter to me if I just met you or met you a lifetime ago. When people need my help to free themselves from their demons, I would gladly provide it. I know you live in fear of Arlong. I know what he did to you, so please let me free you from your troubles. Believe in me. Then please help me, she said, breaking down in front of him. He gave her a comforting hug and raised her up. And together they walked towards Arlong Park, towards one fishman's doom.